There is an actor from Kentucky who has quietly built one of the most underrated empires in Hollywood history. Not just a film career, not just a production company, an actual empire with real estate, art, music, businesses, and assets that most people have never heard a word about. And sitting at the center of all of it is something that will stop you cold when you hear it. A private island. This man owns an entire private island. Most people know Johnny Depp as Captain Jack Sparrow. They know the movies, they know the characters. But what the world has largely missed is what John Christopher Depp II built in the background while everyone was focused on the blockbusters. By the time this story ends, you are going to understand just how deep this empire goes, how the island fits into the larger picture, and why Johnny Depp's real legacy may have very little to do with acting. Yo, what's good, fam? Today we are diving deep into the full story of Johnny Depp's empire. From his come-up in Owensboro, Kentucky, all the way to the private island, the real estate portfolio, the art collection, the music ventures, and the quiet empire he's been building for decades. This one is going to hit different, so stay locked in. We are talking about a man who turned chaos into currency, who treated fame like a temporary costume and ownership like the real prize. This is not the highlight reel they show on award shows. This is the blueprint of a pirate who decided the only treasure worth keeping was the kind no one else could touch. Before we get into the property and the businesses still generating income right now, we have to go back to where it all started, because none of this makes sense without understanding where Johnny Depp came from and how he turned a chaotic childhood into fuel for everything that followed. Johnny was born on June 9, 1963 in Owensboro, Kentucky, and raised mostly in Florida after his family moved. This was not a sheltered upbringing. This was a childhood marked by instability, multiple moves, and a father who left when Johnny was still young. By his teenage years, he was already rebelling hard, dropping out of high school to chase music, and then drifting into acting almost by accident. Most people don't survive that kind of early chaos. Johnny treated it like information and kept moving. He lived in more than 20 different places before he even hit adulthood. His father was a civil engineer who bounced from job to job. His mother worked as a waitress. The house was loud with arguments, ashtrays flying, high-heeled shoes used as weapons. Safety was a foreign concept. When his parents finally split in 1978 and Johnny was 15, the quiet, kind man he called Dad packed up and walked out. Johnny felt abandoned. He felt the cowardice of it. So he did what restless kids do. He picked up a guitar his mother gave him when he was 12 and poured every ounce of that rage and restlessness into 6 strings. He joined band after band. He slept in cars. He worked construction just to eat. Music was the first escape hatch. Acting was just a second one that paid better. He got his first big break in the mid-80s with A Nightmare on Elm Street, then 21 Jump Street made him a teen idol. But he hated the fame. He wanted something darker, stranger, more artistic. So he walked away from the pretty boy path and teamed up with Tim Burton. Edward Scissorhands in 1990 changed everything. Suddenly the world saw him as an artist, not just a face. From there it was a run of cult classics and then the explosion that would fund an entire empire, Pirates of the Caribbean. The Curse of the Black Pearl dropped in 2003 and turned Johnny Depp into one of the highest paid actors on the planet. Dead Man's Chest at World's End, On Stranger Tides, Dead Men Tell No Tales. The franchise made over $5 billion worldwide. Johnny's personal take from the Pirates movies alone has been estimated at well over $300 million. That's not a film career, that's a money printing machine. He did not just cash the checks, he structured the deals so the money kept flowing long after the credits rolled. Residuals, back-end points, merchandising cuts. Every time a kid somewhere puts on a plastic sword and pretends to be Jack Sparrow, a little piece of that empire gets another deposit. And just like the smartest players in any game, Johnny understood ownership. He didn't just act, he produced, he invested, he collected songwriting and music with the Hollywood vampires. A massive art collection featuring Warhol, Basquiat, Klimt endorsement deals, including the long-running Dior Sauvage campaign worth tens of millions. At his peak, he was spending $2 million a month just to maintain the lifestyle. 14 properties across 4 continents, a 40-person staff, private jets, a 156-foot yacht. The burn rate was insane. But the foundation was even stronger, because all of that money had to go somewhere, and Johnny made some decisions about where it went that shaped his legacy in ways that box office numbers alone never could have. Let's talk about the island. Little Hall's Pond Cay, a 45-acre private island sitting in the Exuma chain of the Bahamas, roughly 60 miles southeast of Nassau. Johnny first saw it while filming the original Pirates of the Caribbean. He fell in love instantly. In 2004, he bought the entire island for $3.6 million. No electricity, no plumbing, no sewage, just raw white sand, turquoise water, and 6 pristine beaches. He didn't just buy it, he transformed it. He built a ranch-style main house with full 360-degree panoramic views, a beach house, a bamboo yurt, a circular guest house, everything solar-powered and designed to leave the land as untouched as possible. He named the 6 beaches after the people who mattered most to him: Lily Rose and Jack for his children, Paradis for Vanessa, Gonzo for Hunter S. Thompson, Brando for Marlon Brando. To reach his private paradise, he dropped another $8 million on a yacht called Vajo Liroja, the kind of boat that needed a full crew and cost hundreds of thousands a month just to keep in the water. Most people buy a vacation home. Johnny Depp bought an entire island so he could disappear completely. No paparazzi, no phones, no one watching. He once said, "This is my place in the world. On this island, nobody is looking at me. I can just be normal." That is the real luxury. Not the acreage, not the address, the silence. And the story of how he got it tells you everything about who he is. He saw something beautiful while working and decided the only acceptable outcome was total ownership. No sharing, no public access, just his. He even called his mentor Marlon Brando for advice on how to buy an island. Brando asked about elevation and water systems and electricity. Johnny did not know the answers yet. Brando died before they could finish the conversation, so Johnny finished it alone. He claimed the land the way a pirate claims a ship. He raised his kids there, he healed there after the storms, he created there. The island sits inside or right next to a protected marine park. No one can just pull up and party. It is quiet by design, it is sacred by choice. And even when the financial pressure got so heavy in 2016 that rumors swirled about a $75 million listing, the island never left his hands. He kept the one place the world could not take from him. But the real estate story does not stop at the island. In Los Angeles, he assembled a sprawling Hollywood Hills compound across multiple laps, 5 contiguous parcels totaling almost 3 acres, main mansion over 7,000 square feet, 8 bedrooms, 10 bathrooms, multiple structures that together could sleep 35 to 40 people. Gothic vibes, eucalyptus groves. The kind of place that feels like a fortress and a museum at the same time. In France, he bought and restored an entire 19th century village near Saint-Tropez, complete with vineyard and orchards, a property once listed near $55 million. 37 acres, 15 buildings, a chapel, a restaurant, a private square, 300-year-old oak trees, olive groves. He and Vanessa poured millions into bringing it back from abandonment. It is not a house, it is a living piece of history that he owns outright. He owned a massive estate in Somerset, England, a horse farm in Kentucky for his mother, so she could stay connected to the land that raised him. At 1.5 penthouses in downtown Los Angeles inside the Eastern Columbia building. He bought them as a collection, sold a couple later for profit, kept the rest as urban hideouts. The man didn't collect houses, he collected worlds. Each one a different flavor of escape, each one a different way to disappear when the noise got too loud. 14 properties at the peak, staff of 40, maintenance bills that could fund small countries, and yet the core never cracked. Even after the financial storms, the lawsuits, the public trials, and the years where Hollywood tried to write him off, the island stayed his. The French estate stayed his. The art collection kept growing in value. The music with Alice Cooper and Joe Perry and the Hollywood Vampires kept touring. And in 2026, he's back on the big screen as Ebenezer Scrooge in a major Christmas Carol adaptation, proving the king never really left. Directed by Ty West, packed with heavy hitters like Ian McKellen, Rupert Grint, Daisy Ridley, a full-circle moment for a man who has always loved dark, strange, transformative stories. The same kid who once slept in cars is now playing the ultimate miser who learns that life is about more than gold. The irony is thick and beautiful. Net worth estimates for Johnny Depp in 2026 sit around $150 million, depending on how you value the private real estate, the art, and the ongoing residuals. The variance reflects how much of his wealth sits in assets that are genuinely difficult to price from the outside. Private islands. Historic French villages, royalty streams that keep flowing every time pirates play somewhere in the world, film residuals from one of the biggest franchises in history, a global real estate portfolio anchored by a private island no one else can touch, an art collection built with the eye of a true collector, Warhols, Basquiat's, Klimt's, pieces that appreciate while he sleeps. Music that lets him stay creative on his own terms. Hollywood vampires, tours that pack arenas and keep the rock and roll blood pumping. The Dior Sauvage deal that still pays him millions a year for being the face of a fragrance that smells like freedom and danger. An empire built one deliberate, eccentric, stubborn decision at a time across more than 4 decades in one of the most unpredictable industries on earth. At his peak, he burned $2 million a month. Private jets. Wine tabs of 30,000, storage units full of memorabilia that cost $500,000 a year just to keep. 70 guitars, vintage cars. The lifestyle was legendary. The recovery is even more so, because when the industry tried to cancel him, when the legal bills piled up, when the roles dried up for a minute, the assets did not vanish. The island did not sink. The French village did not crumble. The art did not lose its soul. He sold the yacht. He sold some penthouses, he tightened the circle, and he kept building, quietly, stubbornly, like the kid from Kentucky who never learned how to quit. Johnny has been consistent about the underlying philosophy every time he has spoken about life and ownership. The real freedom is not in what the world sees, it is in what you can disappear into. That distinction drives every major decision in his portfolio. The island is ownership in the purest sense. The French village is ownership of history. The art is ownership of beauty that outlives any box office. And Little Hall's Pond Cay, the one he bought raw and built into a personal paradise because he saw it once and refused to let it go. That is ownership in the most personal and human sense of the word. He went out and claimed a piece of the earth that the rest of the world can only look at from a boat. He raised his children there. He healed there. He created there. That is the empire. Every piece of it built with the same restless hunger he brought from Kentucky before the world knew his name. Think about the beaches. Lily Rose Beach, Jack Beach, places where his kids could run without cameras. Paradise Beach, named for the woman who shared 14 years and 2 children with him. Gonzo Beach, a tribute to the wild journalist who taught him that truth is stranger and more valuable than any script. Brando Beach, honoring the mentor who showed him that real power is the ability to walk away from the circus and still own the tent. Every name is a chapter. Every structure is a declaration. Solar power so the land stays clean. Golf carts instead of cars so the silence stays sacred. No public dock, no day trippers. Just the man, the sea, and the knowledge that for once no one is watching. The comeback in 2026 is not just another rule. It is proof that the foundation held. While the world argued about trials and headlines, Johnny was still painting, still playing guitar, still writing, still owning. The art sales alone have pulled in millions. The music keeps the creative fire alive. The residuals from Pirates keep the lights on even when Hollywood pretends to look the other way. And now he is stepping back into the studio system on his own terms, playing Scrooge, a character who learns that hoarding gold means nothing if you lose your soul. Johnny already knew that. He just needed the world to catch up. The pirate is not retiring from life. He is simply living on his own terms, and the island sitting there in the Exumas with 6 named beachers and no public access is proof that he figured out exactly how to get what he wanted, even when the entire industry slammed the door in his face. Look deeper, and you see the pattern repeating. Childhood chaos taught him that stability is something you build yourself. Music taught him that creativity is the only real currency. Acting taught him that the mask can fund the escape. Pirates taught him that one character can fund a lifetime of freedom. The island taught him that freedom without ownership is just tourism. So he bought the whole map. He restored the French village because history deserves a caretaker who understands eccentricity. He kept the Kentucky farm because roots matter even when you fly private. He filled warehouses with art and guitars and memorabilia because beauty and memory are the only things that compound without inflation. At one point, he had 12 storage facilities just for the stuff that told his story. That is not hoarding. That is curation. That is a man who refuses to let the past get auctioned off to strangers. Even the spending that looked reckless from the outside had a method. $2 million a month was not pure waste. It was the cost of a full-time staff that kept every property running. It was the cost of security that let him raise kids without the circus. It was the cost of jets that got him to the island when he needed silence more than oxygen. When the bills got too high, he cut what he could live without and protected what he could not. The yacht went. Some of the penthouses went. The core stayed. That is strategy. That is the difference between a flashy celebrity and a quiet empire builder. Most stars buy the mansion for the photos. Johnny bought the island so there would never be photos. Most stars rent the lifestyle. Johnny purchased the dirt under it. And the music side of the empire is still underrated. Hollywood Vampires is not a vanity project. It is a touring machine with Alice Cooper and Joe Perry. Real rock, real stages, real money, and real creative control. Johnny gets to be the guitarist he always wanted to be without asking permission from a studio. The same kid who dropped out of high school to chase bands now headlines with legends and walks off stage to a private plane that takes him back to his own island. Full Circle does not even cover it. That is destiny with a business plan. The art collection is another quiet fortune. Warhol, Basquiat, Klimt pieces, chosen with the eye of someone who understands that canvas outlives contracts. When the acting gigs slowed, the art sales stepped up. Millions moved. Value kept climbing. Beauty that does not need a premiere or a trailer. Just walls and time. That is the kind of asset that does not care about cancel culture or box office weekend. It just sits there getting more valuable while the noise fades. So when you stack it all up, the 150 million number in 2026 is almost beside the point. It is the composition that matters. Residuals that never sleep. Real estate that no one else can claim. Art that appreciates in silence. Music that keeps the soul fed. Endorsements that still pay for being the face of something wild. And at the center, an island that represents the purest form of the philosophy he has lived by since Kentucky. Ownership over attention. Silence over spectacle. Freedom over fame. He claimed a piece of the planet the rest of us can only admire from a distance. He named the beaches after the people who made the journey worth it. He built the houses so lightly that the land barely noticed. And he kept it through every storm. That is the empire. Not the box office. Not the red carpets, not the headlines. The island, the village, the art, the music, the deliberate, stubborn, beautiful decisions that turned a chaotic kid from Owensboro into a man who owns his own horizon. The pirate is not retiring from life. He is simply living on his own terms. And Little Hall's Pond Cay, sitting quiet and untouchable in the Exumas, is the proof that he got exactly what he wanted. Even when the entire industry tried to tell him the door was closed. The empire was never just the movies. It was always everything else. The real treasure was never the gold. It was the ability to disappear into something that no one else could ever take away. What are your thoughts on Johnny Depp's legacy, fam? Drop them in the comments and click on the video on screen for more content like this.